Kimi Antonelli, come on down. You, sir, are the very first recipient of the intern MVP of the race award. Yes, folks. In an effort to cover Formula One on a more consistent basis, I've decided to launch this new series called MVP of the Race, where I crown who I think had the best performance, or rather, the most impressive performance of a Formula One Grand Prix in 2025. Hopefully I can stay committed to the bit, but we're going to kick it off with Australia, and I've decided to crown the very first award to one Kimi Antonelli. Now, I'll be real with you, man. There were certain points in this race where I almost forgot that this was his F1 debut, you know. Genuinely. The race started off very spooky. By lap, I want to say 10, or even maybe earlier than that, we had 3 people out already. We had Hajar crashing on the formation lap, Sainz crashing under safety car, Duan crashing literally out of nowhere. Duan's crash was so weird. It was so weird that I thought he got hit from behind, because the way he just lost grip on that straight was insane. But we move. Anyways, Antonelli started this race in P16. He didn't have the best quali. I'm seeing a lot of people say it was down to damage he sustained as opposed to him not being good enough to get higher on the grid. But anyways, he started 16th and he was able to make up some positions because of, you know, the crashes taking place in front of him. Anyways, I see him behind one Nico Hülkenberg. And I'm like, okay, DRS enabled. This will be a simple overtake. And a rather simple one it was. He even made the pass under braking as opposed to with DRS just going by him, which I thought was pretty cool. Especially seeing that track was starting to dry up and there was a dry line forming. For him to go off that dry line to make the pass, granted he was on inters, was still rather impressive. Anyways, then I see Hülkenberg back past Antonelli. I'm like, what's going on here, man? And they showed a replay. Kimi had himself a spin. He had himself a spin. I'm like, okay, he's probably going to be very tame for the rest of the race if that's the case. And he wasn't. Antonelli went full guns blazing regardless, and he got back past Hülkenberg. Then he got past Stroll. And then he was making a beeline for Alonso. I'm like, this guy has some pace. He was very close to Alonso when Alonso crashed, you know. And I'm like, you telling me if Antonelli didn't spin, you'd have probably already been past this guy? Crazy. So anyways, Alonso crashes and Antonelli is now into the points. And he's just there for the bit, you know, he's there for a while. Then the crazy stuff happens when they restart. Some people are on slicks and the rain starts to fall a bit more. That caused Bortoleto and Lawson to crash, bringing out another safety car. And even after that, we saw some teams fumble the strategy because Piastri, well, not strategy, but just fumble in general. Piastri spun, lost all the positions in the world. He dropped back. So Antonelli started to gain more and more spots to the point where when we're on this final restart, this guy is in P5. I'm like, that's going to be a decent finish for Antonelli. A nice little P5. He'll just stay behind Albon for the rest of the race. But he doesn't stay behind Albon. He goes out and he passes Alex Albon, who had a wonderful race. Albon was in the points all day. I don't think he was outside the points once the whole race. So he gets the beeline on Albon and he just passes him right around the outside, going into that twisty left to right hander that leads you to the next, or the last DRS straight rather. And he gets into P4. So anyways, I'm watching the Verstappen-Norris duel. And, you know, Norris does it. He holds back Verstappen. It was a nice little duel at the end. And Norris wins, Verstappen second. I see Russell cross the line. And I see Antonelli right behind him. I'm like, huh? Kimi Antonelli finished this race literally 1.2 seconds behind George Russell. From 16th on the grid. That's insane to me, man. His first ever Formula One race, he was a spot off the podium. They gave him the unsafe release penalty, but then they rescinded it because Mercs actually have a spine now. They actually fight for their rights now. It's good to see. Way better than the old Merc, if you ask me. But Antonelli 16th to 4th in his first ever Formula One race, surrounded by rookies that made mistakes and crashed out of the race. The only other rookie that didn't crash out of the race was Beerman. And Beerman came last of all the people that finished, because Haas are seemingly a train wreck now, which is much to my detriment. where mental health is concerned. But Kimi Antonelli, I mean, I'll be real with you, man. I remember last year Silverstone F2. People were telling me, watch out for this guy. You saw what he just did in the wet? Kimi Antonelli is that guy. And I was like, I mean, he started at the front. He didn't have to pass anybody. It's whatever. It was a nice little drive, but I don't think this proves he's a wet weather master or anything. But then Spa happened. I was like, okay. Did this amazing move on Color Pinto in the wet. I'm like, this Antonelli guy, man, I might be sold. I might be sold on Antonelli. And it seems as though that was the right call to make, because this guy is mature beyond his years, man. It's just a mature drive overall. A level head, even despite the spin, you'd think that would kill his confidence and make him drive worse, but it didn't. Drove even better than before, man. So, as a result, yes, Kimi Antonelli, you, my friend, are the very first recipient of the Intern MVP of the Race award. Honorable mentions include Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. And who else should be an honorable mention? I guess Alex Albon deserves a shout. He kept his nose clean all race. Nico Hülkenberg deserves a shout. Even though his Sauber had no pace, he somehow managed to make it work. He finished ahead of both Ferraris in that Sauber. Like, fair enough, man. Fair enough. Outside of that, I don't think anyone else had a particularly good drive. Russell had a good drive, but it wasn't impressive. He was in fourth the entire race. And that fourth became third after Piastri honked. And it's a shame too, because Piastri had pace. But it just didn't work out, man. He got the worst of the wet weather on the dry track. Maybe not the worst of it, because he didn't crash. Lawson did, but it is what it is. Shout out Liam Lawson. I'm not giving up on Liam Lawson. Yes, I might have to make a video on that soon, but I won't give up on Lawson. That might even be the next unscripted. But yes, that's the end of the episode. I think I'm going to end it here. There's not really much more to talk about where Antonelli's race is concerned, but it seems as though the Wonder Kid shouts are materializing quite well for the young Italian boy. And I can't wait to see if he cooks more as the season goes on. Is he going to win? Is Antonelli going to win a Grand Prix? He's going to finish on the podium? We'll have to wait and see, man. But congratulations, Kimi Antonelli. You are Intern's MVP of the 2025 Australian Grand Prix.